on to the dais. I request sir to occupy the chair. It is with great pleasure that we welcome Mr. Reddy Maladi sir, AI strategist and business leader, as our distinguished chief guest today. Mr. Maladi brings with him a wealth of experience in strategic operations and leadership, including having successfully navigated complex challenges in a dynamic business environment. His leadership style is characterized by a focus on innovation, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Even though with a rural background and a limited education access, Sir has left a unique mark with his distinguished leadership ability and skilled engineering capability on harnessing AI full potential to drive growth and profitability. His leadership has consistently resulted in top 1% customer satisfaction, digital transformation, and operation excellence. His academic excellence is marked by a BE degree from Andhra University, MTech from IIT Kharagpur, MS in Computer Science from Oklahoma University, and MBA from Columbia University. His professional excellence is marked by playing key executive roles at companies like Intel, ADP, and Autodesk. He authored book titled AI Unleashed, which is ranked among top 2 bestseller in business management and top 5 among top 5 bestseller in artificial intelligence. Please give him a big round of applause. At Autodesk, he transformed a global organization to deliver best-in-class services with the highest customer satisfaction and employee engagement score in the industry. At ADP, he played a key role as Chief Operating Officer for 2 service business units and served as the trusted business advisor to the GM. In his 19 years at Intel, he managed the company's flagship products and delivered huge cost reduction and held senior positions such as Senior Director of Client Platform, Director of Customer Management, Strategic Planning and Operations. With his years of extensive experience, he served as board advisor to AI companies such as EasyML, the world's first no-code explainable AI and augmented intelligence platform, and Evisco AI, an all-in-one revenue intelligence and operation platform. Shortly, I request Dr. S. Srinivasa Garu to occupy the chair and come onto the dais. I request all the dignitaries on and off the dais to felicitate our chief guest as a token of gratitude, and I request our chief guest to accept the felicitation on behalf of the management. are eagerly waiting for a wonderful and informative session by our today's chief guest. Thank you, sir.
మీలో అందరికీ కనపడుతుందా? సో మీలో ఈ తెలుగు మీడియంలో ఎంతమంది చదువుకున్నారు? సో నేను కూడా తెలుగు మీడియంలో చదువుకున్నాను. అందుకని నా ప్రధాన ప్రసంగం ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఉంటుంది, కానీ ఆ ఉపోద్ఘాతం అంటే ప్రిఫేస్ అనమాట, అది తెలుగులో మొదలు పెడతాను. సో మొట్టమొదట సభకు నమస్కారం. నా ప్రసంగాన్ని ఒక ప్రార్థనతో ప్రారంభిద్దాం. ఒకసారి అందరూ లేచి నిలబడతాం. వాగర్ధావివ సంపృక్తౌ వాగర్ధ ప్రతిపత్తయే జగత పితరౌ వందే పార్వతీ పరమేశ్వరం. అంటే మనకి మాట అలానే దాని యొక్క భావం రెండు కూడా అభినవ భావ సంబంధం ఉన్నదన్నమాట. అది ఆ రెండింటి మీద అవగాహన రావడానికి మనకి పార్వతీ పరమేశ్వరుడికి మనం ప్రార్థన చేసి ప్రసంగాన్ని ప్రారంభిస్తాం. కూర్చోండి. మొట్టమొదట నన్ను ఇక్కడికి ఈ ప్రసంగం ఇవ్వమని పిలిచిన ఆప్తమిత్రుడు ప్రొఫెసర్ ఆచార్య నాగేశ్వరరావు గారికి నమస్కారాలు. నాగేశ్వరరావు గారికి నాకు పరిచయం 44 ఏళ్ల క్రితం. మీ ఇద్దరు కలిసి చదువుకున్నాం. మా ఇద్దరికి చాలా చదువు. ఆయన ఈ ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి వేలాది మందికి ఈ విద్య, సాంకేతిక విద్య వీటిల్లో మీ అందరికీ ఈ ఇక్కడ ఐటమ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్స్, మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్, పాలిటెక్నిక్ ఇవన్నీ పెట్టి ఈ విద్యని అందరికీ అందించడం మిత్రుడిగా నాకు ఎంతో గర్వకారణం. మేము కూర్చో కూడా ఈయన నాగేశ్వరరావు గారు చేసి విద్యాభివృద్ధికి మేము ఎంతో సంతోషిస్తున్నాం. అలానే ఇక్కడ చంద్రశేఖరరావు గారు, నరేష్ గారు, శ్రీనివాసరావు గారు, మీరందరూ ఈ విద్యార్థులు మీరందరూ ఎంతో ఏఐ మీద ఎంతో ఆసక్తితో వచ్చి ఈ ప్రసంగాన్ని వినడానికి వచ్చినందుకు మీ అందరికీ నమస్కారం. Now I'm going to switch to English. So these days, AI is on everyone's mind. And I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and every conversation, if you don't have AI-related discussion, personal business conversations, it will be a strange thing. So AI has become the catchphrase in every conversation, in every company's earnings. You hear AI left and right. So what I want us to do today, in the next 40 minutes or so, I am going to talk what this AI opportunity is and what big trends we are seeing in the marketplace. And as students, how do you prepare for this huge opportunity? What do you need to do in order to prepare for that? So that's going to be the bulk of my agenda for today. Can we go to the next slide? So, thank you. I think we did love together. Who was that? She did. Actually, I was floored with all the description she gave about my background, and so I'm not going to give a lot of my background, but I want to talk a few things first. I was very fortunate to have had career in big companies like Intel, where I started as a Pentium 3 product manager. You guys are very young, you are not even born in those days, but I started as a Pentium 3 product manager, and then I managed to build a business, $700 million business, as a general manager in China for all emerging markets. And later, I went to ADP. I was the general manager and CEO for 2 business units where I had the opportunity to increase the operating margin from 25 to 36%, 11 percentage points. So I have a very cross-functional expertise, both on the technology side as well as on the business side. And when I moved to Autodesk, I was running the entire operations for the $5 billion company, and I also led the digital transformation. Now you may be thinking, okay, already you spend all the time in executive roles, where does this AI come into place? So way back I moved to the US 36 years ago, and I pursued Masters in Computer Science. And at that time, I wrote a game with a friend of mine for a lab, a psychology lab, using neural networks. And in those days, neural networks is very different from what neural networks and machine learning is today. That was my foray into AI, and one of the things that contributed to the growth of AI is the computing power. So indirectly, when I was at Intel, I was helping improve the computing power, enhancing computing power by many folds using Moore's law that contributed to where AI is today. And in 2019, when I was running the operations for Autodesk, we had a huge challenge. The Department of Commerce, they said to Autodesk that your export compliance is not meeting our standards. We were way below the needs. And so I was looking, our CFO and our chief legal officer, they both said, "Reddy, why don't you take on this one?" And we needed to screen 50 million, this is 50 million accounts for export compliance. Export compliance is a very complex thing. The way it works is someone buys software or hardware, but that person may be residing in China or Russia, many of these countries, but tracking that ownership, because there are multiple layers of ownership, people try to convolute, and understanding that and putting the restrictions, because what we sell, US government and other governments have restrictions on how software and hardware could be used and where it can be sold. It's a very, very complex one. The traditional software wouldn't cut it. There's no way you could do export compliance with traditional software. And we needed to do it manually, and to screen these 50 million accounts regularly, it would take close to 1,000 people. And it would cost, even the cheapest solution would have costed us $35 million annually. That's when I thought, why don't we look into AI? And we developed our own machine learning algorithms and AI. And what happened was, instead of needing 1,000 people, that would take 2 weeks or longer to do the screening of these. We were able to, with AI's help, we were able to automate this 99.7%. So those 50 million accounts, we were able to screen within 24 hours. And that saved us $35 million a year for the company. Not only that, our customers were very satisfied because what was happening was they needed to wait to close the deals for 2 weeks because we didn't finish the export compliance screen. But when we deployed our own machine learning models, we were able to get this done under a day. So that was a remarkable improvement. So that's when I became a big believer in AI. And later on, when I saw ChatGPT was released, then I thought, okay, there's a lot of hype happening, and there's need for educating, bringing together the technological understanding as well as how AI can be used for business. Because technology, I want all the engineering folks here, want you to remember that the technology is a tool. It's not in itself a destiny. You need to make sure that whatever you're working on, it is solving a real business problem. That's the role of technology. And so what I did was I brought together my knowledge in AI and my business expertise and wrote the book, which I will present it to Professor Nagasaralu and other folks. So now let me switch, since I gave a little bit of my background, how I journey into AI started. Let me take the next few minutes talking about how big this AI opportunity is. But first, let me ask you, how many of you heard of Spotify? Spotify. Okay, quite a few, right? Quite a few. So can you guess how long it took for Spotify to get 100 million users? Any guesses? How long did it take for Spotify to reach 100 million users? 55. Either someone read my deck before, or someone is very smart and knows the answer. But that's the right answer. So that's 4.5 years, right? What's your name? You said 55, right? Yes. Okay. What's that? Vanita. Okay. Well, Vanita got it right. She said 55 months. That's the right answer. But now let me ask you, how long did it take to reach 100 million users for ChatGPT when it released in November of 2022? Any guesses? I hear a lot of murmur, but what is the answer? 2 months. Someone said 2 months. That's the answer. So the slide went up a little bit faster, sooner than I expected, but you know how fast it happened, right? It went from 55 months a few years ago to this is the fastest adoption of a technology. And it's not just that, just wait on that. No, don't go yet. But see, the adoption, if it is for free, companies don't make money, and they don't employ a lot of people, right? But now AI is everywhere. I'll show you in a few seconds. Bloomberg did a projection. We can go to the next slide. So today, the revenue from AI, generative AI, is barely $137 billion today. But project to 2032, which is only 8 years from now, it's going to be 1.3 trillion. You know how big $1.3 trillion of opportunity? That is the GDP I'm assuming you all heard what GDP is, right? Great. So $1.3 trillion, that's the GDP of Mexico. And today, if you look at India's GDP, it's about $4 trillion. So it's almost a third of India's GDP. That is how much generative AI related revenue going to be in 8 years from now. So it is huge. Now let's look at the overall AI growth. And if you go to the next page, so look at this one. It's this is all AI, not just generative AI. This includes machine learning, deep learning, and other related, computer vision, all the different types of AI. Today, it's a bit below $200 billion. And by 2030, in the next 6 years, it's going to be 1.8 trillion. That's almost half of India's GDP. That's monumental. I have not seen any company, any country growing at that rate. I lived in China when I was building a business for Intel. At that time, China was growing in low double digits, more like 14%, 15%. Everyone would say, "Oh, that's huge." This is an annual growth of 37%. Can you imagine that kind of growth? And what does that mean? Basically, that's like you're creating big economies. It also means job opportunities. I will get into that. Now, if you look at the adoption of AI in the last 1 to 2 years, it went from 50% to 72%. So a lot of the companies, this is not just the US, by the way, the data is across the globe. Companies are adopting AI very quickly. So that's all good news, because when they're adopting AI quickly, that means a lot of opportunities are going to be available for all of you who are going to graduate in the next few years. So let me touch on where AI is making a difference, where AI can make a difference. When this morning, Professor Nageswarar and myself, we were coming from his home, and his uncle was asking where AI, is there like a one specific area AI can impact? I told him, my answer was, in every aspect, in every company, from finance to operations to customer experience, even winemaking. I live in San Francisco, close to San Francisco Bay Area, and we live close to a place called Napa, which is known for winemaking. Even in winemaking, it's a very traditional, it's an old industry. Even they can significantly learn and leverage AI. And here, the operational areas, when I look at the operational areas, it seems to be cut a little bit on this side. No, on this edge. It's not fully presented for some reason. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So, if you look at the operations area, it is workforce planning. When I was at Autodesk, I used to manage 2,000 people team. And I had teams all across the globe. And it was managing the workforce planning was a very big task. I had a small team that was doing that. Now, AI can do it automatically, workforce planning. inventory management. During COVID, I am sure you all experienced the same thing as we did in the US. The supply chain went haywire everywhere. There were disruptions. We experienced inventory and supply and demand, they were out of whack, meaning they were out of alignment. But with AI, you will be able to predict it well in advance of time and be able to manage your inventory, manage your the pricing to optimize with your inventory. There are many areas. It is the supply chain and logistics, forecasting. All of those are possible in the operations side with AI. Now, moving to the finance side, how many of you are from the business here? Okay. So some of you, I'm assuming, will go into finance. In finance, I'll give you an example. A typical U.S. company spends about $20 to process every invoice. Let's say I'm traveling and I submit my expense report. The processing of that takes $20 per invoice because it needs to be. You need to check the dates and then what cost codes are there and is it within the approved limits of the cost. All those things you need to check. So that process takes a lot of manual intervention. But what AI, the machine learning algorithms, once you train them with your data that's like going back to years historically, AI machine learning algorithms become very sophisticated, and I have seen this one myself because we did implement the AI-driven invoice processing. It can fill those missing codes because it has the knowledge on many invoices, and it can process in close to 90%, 80 to 90% of the invoices automatically, and it can even approve because they are straightforward. And not only that, sometimes people do things that are beyond what was approved, right? Meaning it's not correct. The expense codes, they used incorrectly, all those things. And sometimes fraud happens. Companies see fraud, some employees misuse, right? So AI is able to detect that. And remember I was telling you it's $20 on average to process one invoice? With AI's help, it would be able to do for $2. It's a huge saving, right? Even if you account for administrative expenses, still you would be able to save 75%, and which business wouldn't like that, right? So that's an example. And in procurement, many companies have procurement departments whose role is to find the most optimum suppliers of their vendors, right? And reduce the cost. Procurements constantly look for ways to reduce the cost. And I know there's a Bay Area company that created an AI-based procurement engine, and there's an example that comes to my mind. So there's a big pharmaceutical company in Europe. They were looking to reduce the cost on procurement, and for marketing, what happened was they were using a big name marketing agency from their marketing campaigns, and this AI-driven platform, it found a small marketing agency that this pharmaceutical company wouldn't have even looked at it. So they did the due diligence, and after doing the due diligence, they used this small marketing agency, and then what happened was, it was remarkable. Their costs, the pharmaceutical costs, their company's cost for the marketing agents, they went down by half. So that means they reduced the cost by 50%. And the marketing campaign, the engagement for the marketing campaign, it doubled. Meaning more people, more of their customers were engaging in their marketing messages and buying more. So what happened was the costs were reduced by half. The customer engagement doubled. So the ROI, or return on investment, quadrupled. It became 4 times for the company. So that's the power of AI. So again, I'm not touching on every aspect where AI can make a difference, but I want to make sure I give these examples so you understand how powerful AI can be. And here, this is in sales and marketing again. These are covered extensively in my book, but in sales and marketing, you can find how do you optimize the marketing campaigns? How do you come up with the most accurate sales forecasting? And how do you train and help your sales representatives to close the deals faster? There are many, many ways AI is able to help. Now, Professor Chandrasekhar, he asked me, can you actually discuss a little bit about Gen AI? So I'm going to spend a few minutes on generative AI. So generative AI is one type of AI. This is traditionally we had machine learning. The big umbrella, if you think of artificial intelligence as a big umbrella, machine learning is a part of it. Basically, machine learning, I'm oversimplifying it, but machine learning, it learns from the data, whether you use structured data or unstructured data, it learns, and there are different ways these algorithms are trained, and it identifies patterns in the data. That's machine learning. The next level is deep learning. I talked about neural networks when I was a graduate student doing a game using neural networks. Neural networks is nothing but in our brains we have neurons. So it is mimicking that behavior, but that's neural networks. But deep learning, what deep learning means is you have multiple layers of neural networks. So if you, for example, probably you heard Demis Hassabis, he's the CEO of Google's DeepMind. He got a Nobel Prize in chemistry because they used deep learning to find the protein structures of drugs. And it was never possible to do that accurately, and it takes years and years to do that by people. And now deep learning, with the deep learning techniques, AI is able to do that. Now, the next thing is the natural language processing. Basically, you give the text and audio and video, and it is processed. And generative AI is based on what is known as a transformative architecture. GPT is general purpose pre-trained, generative pre-trained transformer technology, right? So generative AI is based on the transformer technology. So Gemini, Claude, Mistral, ChatGPT, all of these are generative AI tools. They're now widely known, and everyone thinks that is the AI, but AI is way bigger than this ChatGPT. And how do you build to respond to Professor Chandrasekhar, I outlined a few steps. How do you build a Gen AI application? The first thing is you need to find the right use case. Again, as I was saying earlier, the role of technology is to solve a business problem, a people's problem, a society's problem. Technology doesn't exist in isolation. So finding the right use case. When I say use case, I was just talking about invoice processing, right? How complicated it could be, how manually intensive it could be. So that's a business use case for AI. Or export compliance training is a use case for AI. So you need to find the right use case. That's your first thing. The next one is you need to find the right model, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Whisper. There are so many tools available, and which one is appropriate for your use case. By the way, not all of these are good at everything. It's, for example, I initially used ChatGPT when it came, but later Claude had more safety features and it was more succinct than ChatGPT, and then I preferred to use Claude versus ChatGPT. And then if you're writing code, you can write a lot of that code using ChatGPT or Gemini. They're really great. They can generate, even let's say, if you want to design a website and then say, hey, these are the things I want to have, it can generate the code. Of course, you need to test it, and then is it efficient, all those things you need to check. But the second one is choosing the right model. The next thing, this is actually probably, I would say, the most important thing is having clean, complete data. I can tell you, earlier when I was being introduced, I am on the board of EasyML. They specialize in transparent and explainable AI. And I was talking to Deepak, he's the CEO of this company, and he was telling every company from Delta to J&J and many of the customers, these are healthcare to airlines, manufacturing, all kinds of different companies. They all have a big challenge. Getting the data is extremely challenging. And without data, AI is going to, it's not going to succeed. It's like, if you have a scooter and then if you put water, it's not going to run, right? And or a car, right? You can't put kerosene, you need to put gasoline, right? So it is very, very important to have the data. And then once you have the data, once you choose the use case and you choose the right model to use, then you're going to use that model to fine-tune it using your own data within the sandbox is what we call. And then you need to have the infrastructure, because some of these models can be very, very big, and that they might need more infrastructure than you have. So briefly, that's what you use to build AI apps. And then now here I'm going to talk about a few of the tools that you need in order to build these general AI applications. One is the OpenAI or other. I said OpenAI just for the sake of a placeholder, but you can have Gemini or any other tool. Depending on what tool you use, you need to have that API. The second one is Hugging Face is an open source platform. Everybody puts their tools there. You have tons and tons of these libraries and pre-trained models, and as I was mentioning earlier, for your specific use case, you need to choose the right one. For example, Whisper is really good for marketing campaigns if you want to use. Their tool is, their application or platform is really good for that. So if you want to use that for marketing campaigns, you want to have the API into Whisper's libraries. And TensorFlow and PyTorch, you guys probably remember what I was saying about the F4 compliance a few minutes ago. We use PyTorch to build our machine learning models. They are free, they were released, they're very mature, they have been around for a long time, and between Google and Meta, they released them many years ago. Those are essential. And cloud AI platform, whether it is Google Cloud, Azure, or AWS, they have all these tools for deploying and scaling AI models. Because, you know, building a small prototype or a proof of concept or POC is one thing, but if you really want to get the return on investment, then you need to scale it to production level across multiple functions. So what is being made available is between all these cloud providers, they are making all the AI tools on their cloud platform. Another one is weights and biases. These, when you're training the AI models, weights and biases, they are very important. That's how you use them to train your AI models. And lastly, for web interactivity, you use Streamlit. So these are some of the tools essential for those are some of the tools needed for generative AI applications. Now, we talked at length how big this opportunity is. Now, as I was saying, if the opportunity is this big, 1.8 trillion, then it's not going to happen without new roles being created. Of course, everyone is afraid of AI destroying jobs or displacing employees. That is true. I'm not denying AI is not going to change. Just like what happened when, decades ago when automobile was invented and came to the streets of America, and then of course, people used to ride on buggies, right? And then, when I was growing up, I used to ride on horse buggies in near Rajahmundry when we used to cross the Godavari River. We used to use those because they were not even buses, right? So it happens. Every time there is a transition, big transition happens, some jobs will be eliminated, but it also creates new types of jobs. So in the next few years, I see the prompt engineer, probably you guys heard prompt engineering, right? And then model training, because even when you have ChatGPT or other in the back end and you're writing the API, you still need to train on your company's data. So the model trainings become important. And along with the AI ethics, because how you use these models. There are biases. These models are not foolproof, so people need to watch for bias in the models and in the data. Security, AI security can be compromised before training the models or by poisoning the data. There are many interruption points to poison the data or to change the behavior of the AI models. That's why AI security expert, I heard you have a cybersecurity specialization, Professor Nageswarar was telling me. So it's important that security of AI is also integrated into the curriculum. AI auditor, business strategist. Again, technology by itself is useless unless it is solving a business problem. That's why you need to have experts from finance and operations, sales and marketing, all these business functions. They need to be integral to this AI team. Of course, in a data expert, it comes without saying, and a lot of companies now are looking to upskill their employees. So training is becoming an important. So all these are roles that are going to be available. Some of them are already available, but they're going to be available over the next several years. And so it's not that AI is going to take away all the jobs. It also creates some. I don't know how many is going to be eliminated and how many will be created, but there's going to be a new balance over the next 10 years. So what I am going to do a few more minutes is talking about how do you get ready for an AI-driven world. So here, since quite a few of you are on the engineering side, there are two things I would emphasize. One is you've got to have very solid technical foundations. That's essential. If you just learn C programming and Java, that's not adequate. You need to learn Python. I'm not saying Python, but as a placeholder, you need to know Python for machine learning. And AI ML fundamental. If you want to have a job in AI space, knowing machine learning, take some classes in machine learning. It will help you. Machine learning is built on statistics and probability. When myself and Naisa, when we were going to school, there was no emphasis on statistics. It was all calculus. But learning statistics is so important. Machine learning, all the probability theory, there are so many things in statistics that help you when you're taking the machine learning. So have the basic knowledge and data literacy. Take some data science classes. And lastly, as I emphasized multiple times, you have to learn the problem-solving skills, not from writing Python code, but how do you reduce the cost, or how do you increase the revenue, as I gave examples like the invoice processing. That's when it becomes very attractive. Your skills become amplified when you're solving the business problems. On the business side, obviously, I'm looking at some of the business MBA students here. There are aspects. How do you align your AI strategy with the company's key objectives? Because what happens is, if you're bringing AI, but it doesn't align with your corporate values. Let's say you have a corporate value that says customer experience is our #1 goal, and if your AI is not doing anything to improve the customer experience, your CFO is not going to give you the money, your business units are not going to give you the money, and AI projects will fail. So it is very, very important that the folks on the business side spend the time, how do you develop the AI strategy? And I spoke a little bit about the ethics. Ethics is very, very important because there are many instances when AI is not used appropriately, and so how do you bring the ethics into the discussion? And change management, by the way, 70% of the digital transformations fail because of lack of change management. And so business students can focus, how do we do the change management? cost benefit analysis, again, the companies, while 72%, you guys remember the graph I was showing, 72% of the companies have adopted AI, but the huge number, probably 90 to 95% of the companies are not seeing the return on investment. So that's a challenge. So choosing the right use cases and doing the cost benefit analysis, that is very, very important as part of embarking on AI. And of course, as with any project management skills are very important too, right? Now, how do you future-proof? You guys are going to graduate in a year or two. How do you future-proof your career when AI is taking over the world, right? Understand the current developments in AI. I am in the Bay Area. Every day there's a new development. I can't keep up with it, so it is so fast. And my friend, Deepak, he had a PhD in computer science. He says the same thing, the torrid pace at which AI is moving, keeping up with is a challenge. But if you are keeping yourself up to date on the things, that's going to make you more marketable. And the second thing I would say is when AI becomes so prevalent, it comes everywhere, right? It is embedded in everywhere. What AI cannot do is cross-functional thinking is a challenge for AI. It can do one very specific area really, really well. It can do, let's say you ask it to write a paper, or you ask it to summarize, or you ask it to read the entire 500-page contract and then bring all the clauses that a company needs to follow. These are the obligations the company has to its clients. It can pull that information very quickly. Manually, we need to spend months and months. But when you need to bring cross-functional area, how, for example, forecasting that is important for financial folks, the scenario planning, and that uses the sales and the operations, then it gets a little bit challenged. So the cross-functional expertise is a big area. The other one is, it's at the end of the day, it's machines. They don't have the feelings. And human relationships, AI is not going to replace that. And so acquiring those soft skills, acquiring those people skills, acquiring those cross-functional skills, those are very, very important, and they will keep your career future-proof. So your value is continued as your career progresses. Now, you might say, Reddy, you talked quite a bit, but today, where should we focus, right? My suggestion is start today, take the relevant classes, and any certifications. Again, I was discussing with Professor Nageswarar and Chandrasekhar. There are ways they're thinking about integrating more AI curriculum across all the disciplines. And there are lots of online, even some of them are free classes offered. For example, Coursera offers quite a good number of classes. DeepLearning.ai, it is founded by Andrew Ng, who used to teach at Stanford, one of the pioneers in the area. He has a number of classes. So there are many, many classes. I would recommend that you start somewhere, start taking the classes, get certificates, because you become very marketable. And I also suggest that do some hands-on projects, because when you showcase someone, oh, I did this, I developed these 6 algorithms, And these, one of them can be used to reduce waste, let's say in manufacturing. Then it may be theoretical, a proof of concept, or maybe an MVP in the best case, but still MVP, a minimum viable product, right? You may not even get there, but even if you have a prototype or a working proof of concept, that goes a long ways to market your capabilities in the AI space. And network with industry experts, other people who are working in the AI on LinkedIn. Of course, you're very young at this time. You're just going to enter the professional arena in the next few years, but starting networking, it's very, very important. In summary, AI is something that we have not seen in our lifetimes. It is such a big opportunity. I'm not saying this very lightly. The last time an opportunity of this magnitude happened was during the Industrial Revolution. And if you look at cloud, internet, automation, the RP automation, none of these will compare to the magnitude of this AI opportunity. 1.8 trillion. That's such a big opportunity that AI is making it possible. And it is going to impact every function from HR to operations to finance, everything imaginable is going to be affected by AI. And in a way, I would say, you guys are extremely lucky. You are at the right place at the right point. Because this kind of opportunity doesn't come in every lifetime. So this is your opportunity to seize and act now, and I wish you the best of luck, and let's spend a few more minutes for a Q&A. So that's what I plan to cover, and what we will do is we open the floor for a few questions.
Hello? Yeah, if you have any questions, yeah, you can interact. Introduce yourself.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, please say your name.
So my name is Sarat Chandra. I am from Data Science Department, third year. I want to ask you about, give us a brief about the AI agents and the artificial general intelligence. And I have heard a news about that there is a meeting in the United States on 30th January with the Sam Altman. That is about the axioms, the subject to correction, that is AI agents that are capable of doing things that are in the postgraduate level. And they might gather the information and data about the whole company, and they can give the insights and the business insight to improve their business outcome. So please give us a brief about that also.
Yeah, so really, really good question. And again, Sarat Chandra, right? Yeah. So thank you for the question. Now, it's part of the hype. Let me say this one, because in AI space, there's a lot of hype happening. And when you look at who is saying it, you want to think about what incentive does he or she have in saying that, right? Sam Altman is an interesting personality. He's aggressively pushing the boundaries, right? But is AGI, you have two parts of the question, so let me ask, is AGI happening anytime soon? It is anyone's guess. It is anyone's guess. Sam keeps saying, oh, we are almost close, just because there was a test called ARC test. They were able to get the most recent version of ChatGPT to crack it, ARC test. But we had seen in the chess game in mid-90s, the IBM's computer, the supercomputer, it beat Kasparov, right, Russian chess player at the time, and then people thought that was the end of the world. But anyway, to AGI, are we close? I don't know. Everyone is guessing. If you ask Yann LeCun, he's a Turing Award winner, extremely well-respected professor, and he doesn't think so. But again, everyone is in a different space. But we'll see when it comes. But as far as your question on the agents is concerned, agents are essentially, you can think, if let's say there's an operations department in a company, right? Let's say operations team, it does process all the product fulfillment. So someone buys a product, and then manually someone is going to make a packing slip, get that all shipped, all those things, right? So what an agent does, each one of those steps that the person is doing it, you create an AI agent. You can think of it's a substitute for some task, one task, or maybe multiple, but typically one task that is today done by a person is going to be done by AI agents. So it's very, very possible. AI agents are very powerful if you keep it to one specific task. The challenge comes, in my view, when you have hundreds and thousands of agents in a given department. The complexity of managing it is not easy. A few years ago when I was at Autodesk, I actually managed a $300 million digital transformation project that involved finance, operations, sales and marketing, engineering, pretty much across all the teams. The complexity of that becomes huge. Similarly, when you have agents, you can think of the workflow to just order fulfillment of a product. You can think of the workflow and the steps it all takes to have all these agents. You need to manage them. How do you manage it? That is going to be the challenge for companies. But they are very powerful. Can they do the work of a postgraduate, the intelligence? It's a tricky question. Here is why. Because what happens is when you train on a select corpora of this information knowledge base, they become really good at it. Because in our heads we can keep, let's say, 300 books knowledge. But in AI system, you can have that information, you can train the agent to be very intelligent. And then you need a variation of it. That's when it fumbles. I'll give you an example. There is a recently meaning a month or so ago, what they did a test. They made these agents play the chess game. When the traditional rules, the pawn moves like this one, the knight moves like this, the queen moves like this, it knows all those, right? When it knows, its accuracy was over 80%. I think 85 or some percent, or maybe even 90%. But here's the trick they did. What they did was they altered. Let's say the knight moves like this, and then the pawn moves only one step like this, right? And what they did is, now let's change. The pawn move is assigned to knight, and knight's move is assigned to pawn. Its accuracy went down below 50%. And then by probability, or the chances, right? When you have two chances, two ways to move, you're going to be right 50% of the time, just by guessing, right? So I'm just saying they're powerful in specific tasks, but it can become complicated. I hope I answered your question. So I wouldn't worry too much about, is AI going to replace all the postgraduates? Are we not needed? So the best way to prove your future is to get those skills, and you get ahead. As I said, soft skills, people skills, cross-functional skills, creativity, these are all where human beings still excel. And I don't know, maybe we'll see general intelligence at some point, but it's so vague. Everyone has their own definition of AGI. Okay, other questions?
Anybody have a question from this side?
Good morning, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Can you stand up and then tell your name?
No, sir. I'm handicapped, sir.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, good morning, sir. My name is Rohit. How much do you think the AI will affect impact on agriculture and healthcare sector in India?
So Rohit, if I understand, how much impact AI will have on healthcare, and what is the other one?
Agriculture sector.
Agriculture. By the way, in my book, I have a chapter on healthcare, how AI can impact, and I have another chapter part of the chapter on wine and agriculture. So let me give you a brief answer. The answer is, it's quite enormous, I worked with an insurance company. It's a $50 billion insurance company in the US, Humana. I was working with the Center of Excellence they have an automation center of excellence. And I was working with the head of that to identify how many the use cases we can target for AI and automation. Just looking at 2 areas, just the 2, we were able to come up with 50 use cases that would save the company close to $200 million a year. $200 million, that's times 86, right, in rupees. Yeah, so it's huge. It's probably 1,600 crore rupees, something like that. So it is just a small aspect, right? And then patient care delivery, diagnoses, to automatic approvals of these medicines, to insurance approvals. There are numerous ways healthcare can be positively impacted. When it comes to agriculture, I'll tell you, it's you can apply this to probably rice and other fields too, but there's vineyards. What happens is they spray these pesticides. But what happens is these pesticides, when you don't have targeted spraying of the pesticides, every plant gets the pesticide, but what you can do with AI plus computer vision, you can target it only the areas that are disease prone, so you minimize the pesticide usage. That's good for the environment, and it is also good from the cost perspective. Same thing you can apply for agriculture in rice or other types of agriculture, water utilization. There are many different ways AI can bring a lot of goodness to these sectors. In India in particular, I hope the new government is embracing, CPM, Chief Minister is embracing AI and all these things that he was talking. I hope they embrace AI, and actually not embrace, but they actually allocate funds and bring the benefits to the masses. Okay, other questions?
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Sir, do you think really AI will dominate the humans? at present, the AI is at a baby stage, but after some time, will it actually dominate the humans or not? What do you think?
Well, I'm not that knowledgeable to say it will dominate. People are guessing, as I said. It's anyone's guess. Will it dominate? Maybe one day, but I hope as humans we still find our ways to be more valuable than AI. Here is what gives me the confidence why humans will continue to have our value. Today we use 5 senses to become intelligent, right? It's like a little baby. He or she is trying to crawl, right? He quickly learns from all the different sensors, the sound and the taste. When someone, let's say, tastes bitter gourd, kakarak, right? Immediately, you don't need 5 months of training for the little baby to know that's not something you would like, right? So the 5 different senses we learn from tactile, hearing, viewing, all these, that's how we become intelligent. We don't even fully understand how we become intelligent. Humans, right? And now you look at the computers, they're really good at processing text, and that's all visual, and is it possible? Maybe, but I don't know. I don't want to take any guess.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Other questions?
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
I am from CSM department. My name is Sharin. So, yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So my question is, ultimately you are saying AI is everywhere, and ultimately AI will dominate the normal human. Why? Because if you think in inbox, we are more than 150 people. Even no one was greater than AI. Even we 150 members combine each other, then also we can't defeat a basic model of ChatGPT also. So ultimately, we are getting the premium version of ChatGPT under 2000 only. So the product which is coming out of a price of 2000, combinedly 150 persons are not able to beat the product. Then we are zero before the AI. So the question was, if a person have to master something skill like backend development or full stack or blockchain, it takes 2 to 3 years. For another person was only mastering the skill how to use AI to generate the same skill. Then if I am a senior backend developer and a person, my friend who is Tirumala, he was only expert in how to use the AI for backend development. Ultimately, I am zero. Why? Because if there is a 3000 subtopics in the backend development, then as a human, I can cover only up to 2 to 300 topics only. So ultimately, the person who is using how to use backend, then he was powerful than me. So how can you say learning a particular skill is better than using AI for the particular skill?
So Rohit, right?
Sharin.
Never mind. I'm getting old. So let me give you an example. An example illustrates better, right? So in the U.S., what happened was a lawyer used ChatGPT to submit when there's a case proceeding, right? What happens is in the courts look at precedents, meaning, there was a case, in this case the judge ruled this way, the precedence was this, and they cite all these precedences to make a case for their client, right? When there's a case in front of a court, a judge. So what happened was this gentleman, this lawyer, he used ChatGPT he asked, please generate these precedences. It generated a bunch of precedences. And then he didn't do any diligence. This is the problem when you trust these machines too much. So what happened was, he submitted, and what happened, none of those precedences existed. So in this case, ChatGPT just made up stuff. So the lawyer was reprimanded, saying that, okay, none of them exist. So it was good that his license was not revoked, but that could happen. So over-reliance on ChatGPT or any of these, thinking that they are perfect, that's not the case. I'll give you another example. So today, there's a pharmaceutical company and a small AI company. They asked them to develop AI-based code that automatically generates SQL to retrieve information from the databases, right? Microsoft came and they said, oh, we can get it to over 80% within a month. They didn't even process 65%. So what happens to the remainder, 35%? What if it pulls the wrong information? So it is a great tool, but you need to check. If you don't trust, don't think that it is 100% accurate. You need to have humans in the loop. So in your particular case, Saren, it's possible that it may be doing a lot of great work, but it doesn't mean that it completely eliminates the need for you. Basically, whatever work you can do in 10 days with the help of AI, you might be able to do it in 1 day. So what that means is a company may not need 10 people like you, it may need only 2. So it reduces the number of people because it's generating code, right? You can create websites, but it's a lot of these things. If you look at this one, look at this picture. It is AI generated picture, right? Read the text. Read the text. How much of this is garbage, right? It's misspelled, none of that stuff, right? And so it's not a perfect solution. And one of the companies, J&J, where they wanted my friend's company to automate the suture inspection. And they wanted 95% accuracy. Only then they automatically approve that. So not every suture will pass that threshold. So what does that say? Let's say the J&J eliminated all those jobs. But then what happens? The few that escape, the AI inspection erroneously, what's going to happen? Someone gets it, and then it doesn't work. The company, J&J, Pfizer, any of these companies will get sued. And there's a bad detrimental. So you need to be really careful that, yes, in some cases, because it's really, really good and getting all that information very quickly, it's really good in those cases. It makes our life easier. But if that is completely eliminated, everybody that's required in the back end, my answer is no. Okay? Hopefully, I hear a bit of a concern in your voice, Shireen, but as I said, learn some of those skills and move up in the AI ladder. Okay, other questions?
Good morning, sir. I am Haricharan from CS,
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Haricharan, sir.
Charan. Haricharan, okay. Go ahead.
Sir, Elon Musk has expressed his feelings concerns about AI once. Like he stated, AI is getting far more dangerous. In your opinion, how they envision the evolving of the world with AI, and what are the potential risks and dark sides that we could be more cautious about?
So here is the analogy I will tell you, Haricharan. It's nuclear energy, right? You can use it for positive side as well as negative. You know what happened in Japan in 1945, right? Now, people, because there's so much need for electricity to train all the all these, run the GPUs to train these models is so enormous. The nuclear plant that closed long time back, now they're opening them, right? In a similar way, AI is a tool. If you use it appropriately, it can be a very positive force multiplier. On the other hand, of course, we have seen so much AI-generated propaganda, right? During U.S. elections, we had elections last year, and then we have a new president now. We used to get all kinds of AI-generated, completely bogus stuff. You can use AI because it's a technology, it's a tool, right? You can use it for either good or bad purposes. This is why having the AI governance, all companies are going to be using AI ethics and AI governance in place. They're going to put them in place. There are so many misused cases with AI, but it doesn't negate all the positivity it brings. You need to put those guardrails, right? Otherwise, the train is going to sidetrack and then accidents happen. Yeah. Other questions?
Good morning, sir. My name is Tirumala. I want to ask you some question. Sir, how do you balance the differences between computation efficiency and accuracy in AI models?
You went too fast for me. How do you differentiate?
How do you balance the differences between accuracy and computational efficiency in AI models?
Oh, accuracy. How do you balance the accuracy versus efficiency?
Computational efficiency in AI models.
They're not mutually dependent in a way. See, like traditionally, let's say, we think that if you increase the quality, you need to slow down, right? This is how our normal process is, right? So, if you want the accuracy today, it doesn't matter. Even if you have the most efficient GPU, the accuracy from the the transformer architecture has its own limitations. So most of them are hitting the accuracy levels around 70%. That's why you probably may have heard it's reaching the plateau in performance, right? Performance and the accuracy. So increasing the accuracy is something to do with the architecture. Versus computational efficiency, that is something to do with the GPU, the CUDA architecture on the GPU, and how efficiently it's using. They're not correlated. So you can, for example, some of the small language models, they're getting very, very small language models. They're getting the accuracy levels higher. Maybe a more, what I'm thinking is, you might be thinking, you increase the number of parameters, right, for these models. So how do you increase the accuracy without increasing the number of parameters? Maybe that's the way to ask the question. Not so much about the energy side, energy or efficiency on the GPUs. Does that make sense? So there is correlation. As you increase the size of the number of parameters, your accuracy levels increase, and the hallucinations may be lower, but it has a cost, right? Because to train all these big models, you need enormous amounts. For example, the most recent GPT, private estimates are they spend about $1 billion to train it. That's huge cost, and it has over 1 trillion parameters. but it's also more accurate than a 3.5 or the previous models, ChatGPT. So there is correlation, but there are architectural changes being considered. And some of the small language models, they're getting very, very good.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, this is P. Jairaj from Computer Science and Engineering branch. Sir, it's glad to interact with you today. So, my question is, I want to ask that is, what are the key risks are associated with the generative AI by using that? And what are the requirements are there in that? So, can I know that?
Can you, Jairaj, right?
Yes, sir.
Could you repeat the question? You're a little bit fast.
Sorry, sir.
It's not really.
So, what are the key risks are associated with the generative AI by using that? And what are the requirements in that? Generative AI.
No, the first part I'm still not understanding. What is what?
What is the key risks are associated?
Key risks.
Yes, sir.
Oh, key risks associated with
Generative AI.
Well, I think earlier someone was asking about the negative aspects of AI in general. I think the key risks are the bias. You could have a biased output, and if you don't properly train, the algorithms can give very tricky answers. You can make it to give very bad answers too. So this is why safety, ethics, and governance, they become really, really important in general for AI. And I'll give you an example. So Amazon, many years ago, they developed a recruitment AI-based tool. So what happened was, typically, at least in the US, the number of technical females are significantly lower than males. And so and also the underrepresented minorities were very few. So what the AI system was doing was, it was when someone, let's say an African American or Hispanic male or female, they are applying, it was automatically biasing against those and automatically, throwing those resumes out. So it's a bad example, right? But that's how it happened. How could they have prevented if the training data was adjusted for those anomalies? Then the algorithm and the AI system would have prevented right out, right? So there are always ways to prevent that and make it better. So, but the risks are there. Risks are there from data bias on the outputs without safeguards. It can give all kinds of outputs. Sometimes it can be dangerous. And then the other one is hallucinations is a big issue, right? So if you train on, let's say, this data, and you ask a question that is in this side, then it imagines stuff. It's like a little kid telling, making up stuff. He does make up stuff. The hallucination, that's a big risk. That's why in some areas, you cannot take the risk. And that's why you would be extremely, extremely careful not to use it or use it with verification. Having humans in the loop is very, very important.
Sir, can I ask one more question if you don't mind?
Sure.
Sir, can I know what's the common point for AI and generative AI in that?
What is the common point?
For AI and generative AI, can you differentiate from that?
Yeah, so AI, as I was saying, it's like a big umbrella, right? It's a big tent, and the machine learning, it mimics how our neurons operate, right? And Gen AI is essentially, it processes text. So it is a small subset of AI. It derived from the natural language processing. That's why you just type it, hey, can you tell me um, about, let's say, generative AI. It can take all the information, pull it, and then it creates an article for you to read, right? It's really good at processing the text and images to some extent, audio, speech. Basically, the three modes of interaction that the Gen AI is getting better and better at. Text it's really, really good. Audio is getting better. Picture generation, videos, it is getting there. It's like, if you saw initial pictures, it would put like 6 fingers or fingers reversed, all those things were really good, right? So it is getting there slowly. But the overall AI in machine learning actually is really good. Let's say if you are doing manufacturing and you're trying to do predictive maintenance of equipment, I would use machine learning models. That's better suited for manufacturing or industrial equipment maintenance and other things. Make sense? I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Very good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And we are honored for having you here. I am Sandhya Shruti from CSM Department 3rd year. Sir, I have a 10-year-old nephew at home. When I am trying to teach him things, I was trying to teach him maths. He is asking me question like, why do you have to go through a long process of learning journey when you can exactly ask AI about it? Why do I need to learn things right from the start? I can exactly ask the same question, or I can ask it for Google. Why do I need to learn things? He's questioning me this way. Is it going to have any impact on his learning abilities? That's the question that struck me. As he's a Gen Z kid, I would like to ask that, is there going to be any impact of AI on the next coming generation kids if they are going to think this way?
Sandhya, that's a very intriguing question, and it also worrisome because when things come easy, we forget how to acquire them, right? When it's I think one of the aspects of social media, when I see it, right, it's the positive side was it brought people together, but at the same time, it created more anxiety, more psychological issues than any time we have seen, right? So now the question is, why should I learn? So the thing is, maybe you can tell him that. So what is his use? If AI becomes the answer for everything, then how is he going to create value for himself? I know it is a little bit tough to translate that into Telugu, but when you need to create your unique value, right? Because at the end of the day, how do you generate value if you're depending on someone else? Well, then who needs you, right? So you need to distinguish that. Again, explaining that to a 10-year-old is a challenge. But let me tell you, way back when I was pursuing my master's in computer science, although no one was writing the code in assembler, I learned assembler to see how it actually works, right? Because all those instructions, it was just to write a small module, function, or whatever it is called, subroutine, all that. You need to write this big, 5 pages of stuff in assembler. It's just very tedious. But it explains to you how it actually works. It's like, you're driving a car, you don't know anything about the engine, and then when the engine breaks, you take it to the mechanic, and then he says, okay, it's going to cost 5 lakh rupees to fix it. You have no idea whatever So you just trust it. Okay, I guess I have to, right? Because you have no knowledge. It is like that. And the second thing I would say is intellectually to grow, you need to take your mind through the learning process. That's how we grow our brains, right? It is a challenge, I think. And in that way, I think I'm fortunate. My kids are old enough, so they didn't spend much time on the phones, and they didn't think AI will give all the answers. But it's a tough thing for parents. What is the other part of the question, Sandhya? You said.
So is it? Sir, it is making him difficult. Why do we need to go through all that phase? He's just questioning me. Why do I need to go through all that phase when I can exactly ask internet, or when I can exactly ask the AI to make things easier for me? So is this making him less able to learn things?
Oh, I see. This
Is
is
this
where
going to have an impact on the future generations?
this is where people need to have the parents, the teachers, everyone needs to restrict it. Like, you know, a knife, you can use it to cut the vegetables, but if you don't properly use it, you can cut, so, you know, whether you give it to a little kid, the little kid, she may not know, and she may cut her fingers, right? So you need to be really careful. As the adults, we need to control that. That's my opinion. Again, it gets into out of my expertise, but yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I am Tanmay. I am from CSE department. Sir, my question is, what type of impact does AI leave on government jobs, government formation? Can AI leave an impact on this?
In government? Here is Tanmay, right, your name? So AI can have a huge impact. You know, I feel being in the US, the government is very inefficient, and when I come here, that's like 100 times worse. It's, you know, getting things done, going to the government offices, it takes forever. AI can automate, make it 10x more efficient, or maybe 100x more efficient here in India. So there are ways. It's, for example, your registration of your scooter, car, whatever. Why should you go through all the pain going through all the offices? You can automate it right to the point when you're buying the vehicle, right? You can automate it, as an example. You got the driver's license, you got your Aadhaar card, all that information. Why can't you get that? And then same with the is that Arogyasri example? You know, that's the healthcare, right? So every time you go to the doctor, they are collecting the information. Why don't you use all that information for proactively communicating with you, informing them, hey, you know, oh, you need to take this vaccine, or you need to take this and that, or are you keeping up with your blood pressure medication, whatever it is, right? There are numerous ways AI can help. And in the government, I mean, here, government controls quite a bit, agricultural land. And there are so many things AI can positively impact. Now, the other question is there a willingness to adopt it? I don't know. It's, you know, the political landscape, I am not in touch with it anymore. I don't think I'm going to come back. Other questions?
I would like to ask about the robots. As Elon Musk said, he wants to build 5 lakh robots this year, humanoid robots. Can we see the frontline defense of robots in the military?
Oh, I hope not. I mean, well, so no, let me retract my answer. So the robots are already deployed. For example, there are landmines, right? When there's a war, landmines are put by the departing army because what happens is when the other army comes, it blows up, right? This happens. So traditionally, people were handling that, meaning they try to detect it and then remove it. But a lot of accidents happen. People lose their limbs, people die. It's a big challenge, right? But then now they're using robots, and there are many other ways. Robots use it's AI plus the computer vision. For example, if you wanted to do inspections of the houses, there is attic or this crawl space below the foundation, right? So for a person to go there, let's say there is carbon monoxide is there, a person going there might die, right? But you send a robot, so the robots are being used now. Of course, Elon Musk, he got a lot of great ideas. He's an eccentric genius, right? He pushes the boundaries. Can robots be deployed in frontline fighting? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an expert in military logistics and stuff, but robots have a place in everyday life in many ways with AI, computer vision combined. So that's all the time. That's all the time. Okay, let's make it quick. Well, what's the question?
So thank you for the eye opener on AI. I have a question that how does it impact on the management curriculum? I teach MBA faculty. So what are the specific courses to be added in the curriculum to help the students?
Yeah, I was talking to Professor Nagaswara.
Thank you.
And I have some ideas I'm going to share privately afterwards. Because I think I don't see AI as like a cloud technology, only IT people or CSE people need to be. This is one area, this is more of a capability that needs to have cross-functional skills. Every AI team. And there are ways to incorporate. I was from the University from my MBA, and I was talking. I was giving a speech in October to the business for AI. They are aggressively going to incorporate AI into the business school curriculum. So I got lots of ideas. We will come on. Okay, that's all the time we have. I really enjoyed all these fantastic questions, and it was my honor to spend the last hour, 15 minutes or so. Very thrilled. Thank you all. Now, what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you guys have seen, this is the book I wrote, and I'm going to present a copy to Professor Nagaswara.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for a wonderful and informative session. Thank you, sir, for a brief insight on the role of AI playing in shaping the future of industries in terms of innovations and cost savings. Thank you for sharing an extensive knowledge about generative AI applications, ethics in AI, and its associated risks. Definitely your extensive experience, knowledge on AI will guide us in our journey to master AI. And the enthusiasm among students in learning AI demands more such sessions in future, sir, if your time permits. Thank you very much, sir.